This video is sponsored by DistroKid. Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. My birthday's coming up. It's one of the 2 times a year that I treat myself, or at least that's how I justify buying stuff that I definitely don't need. So I may have done something pretty dumb. This is the cheapest Norlin era Les Paul custom in the world. As you can see, it's not exactly in playable condition. Let's see if we can fix that. So for anyone that's new to the channel, I love 70s Les Paul customs. They're so different from guitars made from any other era. You've got the volutes, the giant headstocks, the pancake bodies, so that's like a thin layer of maple in between the layers of mahogany, and then a maple cap. You don't find that combo on any other era of Gibson guitars. By now, you're also looking at guitars that are approaching half a century old, so they've got finish checks, natural aging, they just have so much character. Plus, even in this non-functional form, the Les Paul Custom is one of the most beautiful looking guitars of all time, in my opinion. And one of my current favorite guitars is a 72 Husk I got off eBay, then loaded with Spursel locking tuners, Goto hardware, and Willie Adler Fishman Fluence pickups. I love that guitar, and I've always kind of wanted to do a twin project with nickel hardware. I've wanted one of those since I saw Matt Hafey using something like that on the In Waves tour cycle. I'm pretty sure his is chrome, but with a 70s project, nickel makes more sense because you want some aging. So every now and again, for a couple of years, I'll browse Reverb for another Les Paul custom project, and that last White Claw convinced me to pick this up. And now it's here. Let's start with the good. It's a nice, hefty Norlin weight. It's gonna be pretty heavy when it's done. The neck feels real good, and the binding, especially on the headstock, is much better. It's in much cleaner condition than on my 72. The real mother of pearl inlays are super bright and colorful. I mean, it's a vintage Black Beauty Les Paul custom. It's gonna make for a really nice final build. So now the bad. Why was the price so good? Well, you may or may not have noticed there are a few parts missing, like all of them. There are no tuners, no pickups. The electronics, I thought my soldering was bad, but holy shit. One of the pots is actually caved in. It's so bad. All that looks pretty shot, and they're not original anyways, so all that can be replaced. There's only one control knob, and it feels pretty grindy too. No smooth motion at all. There's literally nothing worth saving in that entire cavity. No bridge, no tailpiece. There are mounting screws though, but again, the plan is to put nickel in there, so I'm not gonna use any of that. No control cavity covers. There is the truss rod cover. I think it's Gibson. I'm not sure it's original though, because it looks very new compared to the rest of it. The frets have been redone, and they are horrible. They aren't centered. Some hang off the fingerboard. Others don't even reach the fingerboard edges. There are pretty big gaps so you can fit your fingernail under them. Whoever refretted this did a terrible job, so they're gonna have to go. I really wish they hadn't touched this fret nib binding. It serves no purpose, but it's a cool Gibson unique feature. Glass half full, at least now there's no guilt at all with refretting this. Sadly, the ivory nut looks pretty gone. You obviously can't get those anymore. It looks like it's already been filled in to try to preserve life, so maybe there's something we can do with it, but I might have to just replace it. It looks like there was a possible neck break at one point, but it's been repaired. I'm not sure what the original color was, but it wasn't black. It's been refinished. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but you can kind of make out the Made in USA outline on the back of the headstock, but the serial number is completely gone. The worst part, though, is what's going on with the pickup cavities. Just wow. They're 2 massive, not quite swimming pools, but like hot tub routes where the pickup should be. According to the description, apparently it had been quote-unquote modded for P90s, and instead of planning it out, the previous owner just hacked away at it, and yeah, this was the result. So it looks terrible, and it is terrible. On the plus side to this Geneva Convention violation is that you can see in here what I'm talking about with the pancake body. So obviously it's bad, but it's not unfixable. It's just not a job that I'd be totally comfortable doing fully by myself. No tools, no experience. It's a 70s Les Paul. For a job like this, it needs to be fixed right. So I'm gonna strip out everything that I don't need, and then I'm gonna take it down to my local tech, and together we're gonna see what we can do to bring this 74 Les Paul Custom back to life. All right, let's get started. Now, Wendell's music in Atlanta is where this thing is really going to come back to life. Wendell is my preferred luthier. He's skilled. He knows his shit. I showed him pictures of the husk, and he was appalled, but he was more than up for the challenge. So to make this guitar suitable for humbuckers again, we need to add more wood back into the cavities because, well, they're just giant holes right now. So Wendell's using humbucker templates to mark where wood needs to be added to the corners of the cavity so we can mount pickup rings. One of the previous owners apparently tried to do something similar, but badly, so all the excess needs to be cleared out so when the new wood is added, it's as clean as possible.
You can tell this wood that I'm taking out of here is not original Gibson wood. You can see the original maple here, that layer, you see it? And then right there, that's the line between the maple and the mahogany. That line doesn't exist over here on this side of the cavity, so that's a foreign element, which, you know, that's what we're about to do.
So basically this guitar has a long, rich history of being
hacked into like I'm doing. And you can see how ugly painted it is, and like that's a router did not make that edge. This whole thing is just a laminate. At this point, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna get this just to the point where I can get a piece of wood in there with enough surface area to get it glued in there nicely. Each corner. We're never gonna get this thing back to like, oh, you can't even tell. But we're at least gonna get it back to the point where it looks right.
It tells a story now. So with the corners clean, gotta glue the mahogany blocks in place so the cavities can be rerouted. Obviously, you need something to hold them in place for a long time for the glue to do its thing and for the repair to be solid. For this purpose, Wendell's using a combination of spare maple blocks and carpenter pencils. Wedges make it easy to get it out when it's done. At this point, the repair was fully underway. I'm excited. So I posted this progress picture to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and yeah, I appreciate the support, you guys. You all. That obviously takes a long time to do, and we're not gonna film glue literally drying, so Wendell did the rest of the cavity reformation off camera, and as you can see already, that's a major improvement from where we started. Now, it still shows signs of massive damage, but at least it doesn't resemble a war crime anymore. But now it's time for the next step, removing the nut and the frets. Now, essentially what's happening here is Wendell's using a soldering iron to evenly heat the frets enough to loosen the glue. That way you can easily pull them from the fretboard. Well, easy is relative. You still have to be careful, especially with ebony because it is such a hard wood. It's prone to chipping when you defret it. The last refret job was not professionally done at all, so there are a lot of large glue chunks and residue. To make sure the refret is as clean as possible, all that needs to be cleared out before the new frets go in. So I guess now is a good time to introduce the plan for this 74 Custom. Because this guitar's resale value is already very destroyed, right? It's not original at all in so many ways. I figured there's no point in trying to go the vintage original spec route. Since it's being restored from the ground up, this is the perfect opportunity for a Bionic Man style rebuild. We have the technology. This will be that guitar. Better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. And the first step in that direction is we're gonna be putting extra jumbo stainless steel frets in this vintage Les Paul. I can't wait for all the hate comments from the purists on that one. Yes, feed the algorithm, you fools. But I love the feel of huge stainless steel frets. It makes me sad that's not something Gibson does from the factory on any of their Les Pauls. But yeah, since this needs a refret anyways, may as well go all out and make it as awesome as possible. So we got these stainless steel frets from Philadelphia Luthier Company. It was the first time Wendell's ordered stainless steel frets from them, and well,
first time I've ever gotten stainless from them. This is some pretty hard steel. One.
Now, the frets were pre-radiused for 12-inch fingerboards. That's really important with stainless steel because they're so rigid, you don't really want to radius them yourself. It's a pain in the butt. Now, unfortunately, something we would not learn until later is that the fingerboard on this guitar did not have a 12-inch radius like all other Gibsons have. It didn't even have a 10-inch radius. It actually had a 9.5-inch radius, which is what you find on Tellys or Strats, at least on the low frets. Our best guess is that someone had tried to make this feel more like a Fender at some point and re-radiused the fingerboard, but then either got lazy or gave up on the higher frets because it had something like a 9.5 to an 11.5 inch compound radius. Obviously, that was not going to work at all with the pre-radius frets, so Wendell did some work off camera, re-rounded the fingerboard to a 12-inch radius, and also reset the truss rod and sanded the ends to turn back the clock and extend the life of the neck. All of that done, the new frets could finally be installed. So, while Wendell handles the easy stuff, let's talk about electronics and hardware. Earlier, I received this package from the kind and talented people over at Bare Knuckle Pickups. Inside, we've got strings, swag, and a custom set of their Ragnarok pickups. This is one of Misha Mansour's signature sets, so they should sound incredible in this guitar. Little molas engraved on the nickel covers. They've been aged because I felt with the 74 Custom, having brand new looking pickups wouldn't look right and a guitar this beat up. The nickel pull pieces have been aged as well. This is all stuff you can configure on the website when you order your own. They look so sick. Bare Knuckles also included some truly brawny components as well. Like, look at the size of these fucking push-pull pods. And those are some seriously hefty capacitors. So an equally as massive thanks to Bare Knuckle Pickups for getting involved with this project. That was really cool of them. On the hardware side, shout out to Brian at Tone Pros for hooking me up. He's also the dude behind Howl Guitars, which you should totally check out because they're really cool. He sent over both the more traditional ABR1 and the more modern Nashville style bridges, see which one works better with this project. The guitar currently has holes in it for an ABR1 where the screws go directly into the wood and it's supposed to have a brighter, snappier sound, but I personally prefer the extra mass of the Nashville, plus Tone Pros already installed nylon saddles on it, which helps with string breakage. The bridges are made of aluminum, which should add brightness to the tone, while the tailpiece material is Zamac, which is short for zinc, magnesium, aluminum alloy, and that has a warmer sound. I had no idea about any of this, by the way. Brian gave me a bit of a TED talk while we were selecting the parts, so we should end up with something that's bright, but not overly bright. He's also sent Cluson Revolution locking tuners. Now, I've looked up Les Paul Customs from 74 and the surrounding years. None of them really used these style tuners. There is some variation because Norland era consistency, but usually they were either Cluson Wafflebacks or Grovers. Either way, definitely not with the plastic tuning keys. These were like a Les Paul Standard, Les Paul Deluxe type thing. But as I said, we are not putting this guitar back to VOS, and these Clusons have the vibe and functionality that I'm going after. You know, like a super old school looking tuner with a big modern locking thumb screw on the back. These fit the project perfectly. So big thanks to Tone Pros for sending the hardware out. Obviously the nickel plating hasn't been touched on these. We're gonna need to do some aging work so they match the bare knuckles and the project overall. Now the plan is to do it with white vinegar. You can do it with a stronger acid, but then you have to keep a really close eye on it because it can go real bad real fast. With this, because this is the first time I've tried it, I'm gonna be extra careful. So I'm starting with the tailpiece because it has the least number of moving parts. I'm gonna let it age using the fumes. So I've rigged up this super professional looking thing. We can just have it hang there above the white vinegar. So I'm gonna pour it in, close it up, and then check back on it every hour or so. This can only go well. Speaking of only going well though, and in a good, non-sarcastic way, that's what happens when you use DistroKid to get your music online and onto all the major streaming platforms. Let's take a quick second to thank today's sponsor, DistroKid. Since you're on YouTube, you've probably heard of DistroKid before. Their service is the easiest way to get your music onto Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube Music, all the other ones I'm forgetting about right now. Super easy to upload a song and sync lyrics with just a few clicks. That simple. From there, DistroKid handles the rest. If it's a cover, they'll even help getting the license. And they're always adding new features to improve the service for artists. One of the most useful is the promo card that you can use to promote your newest release. Pick one of your songs, DistroKid auto-populates a selection of templates. All you need to do is pick one. I like this one, it's very clean. Click to download, and now I've got a professional looking promo card, no graphic design skills required. If you want to see why myself and so many other independent artists trust DistroKid to get our music out there, head on over to distrokid.com/VIP/Agufish. Pricing starts at just $20 a year for unlimited uploads, and if you use my link, you can snag a bonus 7% off. It's a great deal, and while you're doing that, let's see what Wendell's been up to. Right, so at this point, all the new frets are in the guitar, but that does not mean it's even close to done. There's some glue residue. The frets have literally just been cut, so the ends are sharp. They need to be leveled, rounded, polished to make sure they're as amazing as they can be. And you know the sick, super round ball fret ends on E2s or Ibanez Prestiges? Wendell really wanted to put those on this guitar to make it special. Or he just really wanted to show off. Either way, really impressive, takes a ton of time, and really adds something to this project. Now, as you can see, Wendell's polishing the crap out of this fret, and the way that he's doing that is he's scratching it uniformly with finer and finer and finer grit until the scratches are so small you can't see them and it appears shiny, and that's actually how you polish a fret. I hadn't even thought of it this way, but it makes sense. It's obviously very time intensive, especially with stainless steel, but already you can see the result. It's crazy. Also, if you don't recognize the tool he's using, that is actually a multi-surface nail buffer. These are great because they have 7 surfaces of increasingly fine grit. They're already numbered because polishing nail art is the same concept, so all you need to do is follow the numbers, and they are very cheap. You can get them for less than $1 a unit on Amazon, and they work amazingly well for polishing frets. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, there is a lot of footage of work on the frets. Even at 10 to 20 times speed, it is still a lot, and I strongly considered cutting it down, but one, It's satisfying to see the time lapse, see it all develop and come together. And 2, it really was just an incredible amount of work. I definitely gained a much greater appreciation of how time and skill intensive a professional caliber fret job is. So I've left everything in for those who want to see the full uninterrupted process. It really is impressive. Or you can use the timestamps to skip ahead if you want to be that way about it. But I really recommend you watch the whole thing. You know, I get comments on videos of especially the more expensive guitars. Why is this guitar so much more expensive than another guitar that maybe has better specs on paper? Well, the ultra round fret ends, the exceptionally polished frets, those things make a guitar feel super high-end, and it's hard to explain stuff like that on a spec sheet. The fretwork alone was filmed over the course of a couple of days because it really does take that long to achieve that level of result. So hopefully by showing all the work, that can help explain why some handcrafted premium level guitars are so expensive and why good luthiers are worth it. Alright, now that the frets are finally done and we can start removing the masking tape, let's see how the vinegar aging on the hardware is going. Alright, so lighting's pretty bad in the kitchen. Only been an hour, but you can see already it's starting to tarnish on there. Get my fat finger out of the way. Alright, so I don't know how much my iPhone is going to pick this up, but the idea is for both these to match. And I think it's almost there, but not quite. Maybe another half hour or so. Yeah, but this is why you want to do it with like fumes and stuff. That way you don't overdo it, because there's no coming back then. Fret's done. Wendell's getting started on scraping, conditioning, and smoothing the near 50-year-old fretboard to make it look and feel brand new. Now, as you can see, some whale-sized chunks have gone slightly missing from the fingerboard. Some pre-existing from the previous, we'll generously call it maintenance, and some from the most recent refret. So the solution is you take shavings from the same wood. In this case, it's pretty convenient since we're scraping the fingerboard anyways. Well, Wendell was the one scraping. I say we in the I was there to bear witness sense. Put the shavings in the holes that need filling, add glue, and then smooth it out. Just to show you what a big difference there is, here it is before, and here it is after. That is insane. Unless you were really looking for it, you can't even tell. And you can see another benefit of scraping the fingerboard. The mother of pearl inlays, I mean, I thought they looked pretty good before, but now they've really come to life. that Wendell's almost done finishing up the fingerboard, let's check back on the hardware situation. Through thorough and intense sciencing, I had figured out that the ideal amount of time for the nickel hardware to be in the Tupperware container for how relics I wanted them was an hour and a half. Yeah, so this has actually worked out way better than expected. Like, I thought I was gonna have to put this in for hours, but like, this is some strong vinegar. That's American-ass vinegar. Yeah, I'm like really happy with how this came out, actually. Kinda all got the same vibe now. Well chuffed in it. Now, I did make a little bit of a mistake. I'm not sure if my iPhone will pick it up, but you can see it's kind of like fingerprints. So I didn't know you're not supposed to touch it as like the plating corrodes off. No, actually, fuck that. You know what? This is cooler. This is now even more personalized. Yeah, this is cool and surprisingly quick. Oh, the brush feels really nice. All right, this is done. Let's go do the tuners now. Yo, I am actually fucking proud of how this turned out, especially for a first try. Check this out. This is what they looked like before, and here is after. I also sanded the tuning keys to give them an older, cloudy look. The fumes haven't affected any of the moving parts either. Motion is still smooth. Here's a before and after for the bridges as well. This is gonna be so sick in the Les Paul. So there you go. If you want to age some parts at home, you don't need super corrosive acid or any protective gear. White vinegar and Tupperware, you can do it safely in your kitchen. Okay, so I think that's where part 1 of this limited HBO mini-series is gonna end. We started off with the cheapest Neuland era Les Paul in the world, and there were 1 or 2 things that needed improvement. It was a bit of a fixer-upper. But now, the pickup cavities can support humbuckers again. The instrument has been refretted with extra jumbo stainless steel with ultra-round ball ends. The fingerboard has been revitalized. The hardware has been aged, and even at 20 times speed, this video is like 40 minutes long. But this once very dead Les Paul Custom is looking very not dead. It's begging to be played. Everything is ready. It just needs to be put together, and that's exactly what we're gonna do in the next video.
Holy shit!
Make sure you subscribe, notifications tick to all, that way you do not miss it. Social media, merch, and Discord server links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.